Time for the truth. On the December 4th, millions of people all around the world, for the first time in the entire history of humankind, witnessed such a large-scale event. 100 languages of simultaneous interpretations, organized by volunteers. It united people from 180 countries in a 12-hour live broadcast that uncovered the most relevant and vital topics of our contemporary society. The truth was voiced openly and honestly to the entire humanity. People stopped being silent as the time for the truth has come. People who participated in the preparation of the conference, they are true heroes. They are the ones who understand the current situation, who devotedly stand for the entire humanity, stand for the life of every human on the planet Earth.
Hello, dear viewers. Hello, dear viewers. Today we will continue uncovering the topics raised during the conference, as well as sharing our impressions of this significant event. Please let me introduce our distinguished guests for today. Dr. Sigemani Naika from South Africa, Professor of Education at the University of Western Cape in Cape Town. Ms. Natalia Marichuk from Ukraine, an independent entrepreneur. And Luis Felipe Flores from Colombia, defender of collective rights and popular educator. Welcome, dear guests. It's a pleasure to have you here with us today.
Yes, welcome, dear guests. And now I would like to invite all of us to watch a video about the conference.
Four months have passed since the time of the previous conference, and over this relatively short period, we have seen how much the progression of climate change and environmental degradation has accelerated. It's important not to remain silent, because this survival of all humanity is at stake. It is time for the truth.
We are now in a world where every single day, somewhere in the world, a climate extreme event is going to take place that will break the world record of that particular place.
The European floods this summer, or the Western North America heat wave this summer. Both of those extreme events were due to the jet stream reacting in very unusual ways, in ways that climate models did not predict would happen.
When I'm out in the field, I always hear people say that I never thought it would happen to me, and they're always surprised. Can you imagine how devastated you would be if you lost everything that you owned? If you watched the people around you, the people that you love, struggle and suffer or even die?
We have to understand we're one people on one planet, and it's up to us together to solve these problems.
We cannot leave it to our leaders. The leaders have shown that they are not up to the task. The leaders think of themselves as leaders of their own country. They don't care about the rest of the world.
The problem right now is we've all surrendered a certain amount of our power to centralized authority, and they're trying to use that to take over everything. And they've been using this excuse of anthropogenic global warming in order to try to consolidate their wealth and control. So we've got to just completely abandon and expose that.
The discussion about the climate is narrowed down to the reduction of CO2 and global warming gases. And I think the problem is much broader than that.
Nobel Prize winner Sukuro Manabe showed that doubling of CO2 concentration would increase temperature without considering water vapor by 1.3 degrees Celsius, whereas when you do take into account the moisture content, the temperature would increase by 2.3 degrees Celsius. In other words, its increase is almost 2 times faster. Anthropogenic global warming is a grandiose scientific scam of the 20th century.
When you actually go back into geologic records ice core samples, volcanic data. 12,000 years ago, it was Campi Gargali in Italy. 24,000 years ago was the Tambora in New Zealand. That lines up exactly with the cycle.
Green energy is not green at all. Wind power is not green because wind farms require enormous amounts of concrete and metal to construct, disturb wildlife, harm human health with noise pollution, kill hundreds of thousands of birds each year, pollute our air and water supply. We pay high prices for something that will never meet our needs.
We need to build a humanity that lives like a beehive, and we have to build a society that puts human life first. If we combine our scientific, technological, and intellectual resources, we can solve the problem of climate change.
Let's follow the Creative Society's survival guide. The 3 easy steps. Learn more, spread information, and unite to build a creative society.
After all, this world is given to all mankind with only one purpose: to live and be healthy, happy, to create and not to destroy.
The Creative Society is a project of everyone. We do not collect any donations or funds that disappear in the deep pockets. Instead, each person acts in their abilities and uses resources they already have. It is your opportunity to be a part of the solution and live out your superhero potential.
Thank you so much. And it was really a very amazing event. And I would like to I'd like to ask our dear guests to share their impressions. And we would like to start with Mr. Laker. Could you please share your thoughts and feedback on the conference?
Good evening. Should I say good evening, everybody? Thank you for inviting me to the conference, and I think that some very powerful statements people made there. I think the one statement that was made was, we're all in this world together, and we've got to change it. And the continuous statements made by people suggest that everything is not right in this world, and we have to make a difference. But I'm an educationist, and what applies to the rest of the universe in terms of all its varied dynamics in climate change and so on, where there are serious problems, I think we have a serious problem in education. And I think education in this very beautiful world, which is where there's an abundance of resources, where there's enormous beauty, where there is enormous of everything, but it's only shared by a few, and it benefits a few. And so most of the poor children in the world, in the poorest countries, and in the poorest context in the rich countries, their communities get reproduced by the education systems of the world. And my contention is that education is in the hands of people, of power, and money. But those three facets do not act in the interests of every child in the world. And that's our problem. The biggest challenge facing education in the world is that the bureaucracies that are located in the various countries in the world focus on procedural correctness. and despite the outcomes. So if the outcomes for literacy and numeracy is bad, if the throughput rate is bad in education, if poor children are not succeeding in education, well, this has happened for over 100 years. And we don't have to look far. If you look at the school-to-prison pipeline in the United States, which is the richest country in the world, has very expensive elections, has very expensive space programs. Other parts of the world as well, where poor communities are reproduced for decades, for hundreds of years. And so that is why I think we need to impose a social justice system in every single education department in the world. Because virtually every country has a poor population. And if you look at the data and if you look at the statistics, those poor people are marginalized. They are alienated from the mainstream. They cannot play a decent role in the mainstream economic and social life. So I'm suggesting that we change the bureaucracy and we find a mechanism that where people can plan better, so where vulnerable and poor people can be brought to the center of education. Now, I know social justice means a lot of different things for a lot of different people, but I think we can remove the conceptual looseness of social justice and apply it on every single decision people make. And the first question every education planner has to ask in this world is, how can we reduce inequality? You have such a beautiful world with so much of natural resources and other resources, but you only got such a few people making or enjoying the benefits of it. So I'm suggesting planning education differently. From the days of mass schooling, very little has changed for poor people in the world. Take any country in the world and look at the poor communities, look at the way they are reproduced, and look at the lack of compassion and empathy for poor people. In India, there are 253 million people that are illiterate. But India is a nuclear power. Now, how can we understand and relate to these contradictions? So I think we need a new theory of education. We need new assumptions based on social justice, a theoretical framework based on social justice, and we need to plan every aspect of education. How you budget, how you employ personnel, how you utilize the system, and every step of the way, you have to ask the question, how do we reduce inequality? Now, if you look at the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, if you look at inclusive education, it hardly ever works in any country in the world. And the reason is that education has become a commodity. It's in the hands of the rich, it's in the hands of the powerful, and it acts only in the interest of middle class and rich children. So let me stop there, Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Maker, so much for sharing such an important opinion. And definitely, education is the coursing for the healthy society. And for sure, in the 21st century, we still have so much inequality, and we need to get rid of it finally. So it's time for actions and time for the truth. And now I'd like to turn to Ms. Marichuk. And I'd like to find out, how did you find the conference and what touched you the most, what impressed you the most in the conference?
Добрый вечер. Good evening. I thank you for giving me the word and for the invitation. Much of what I heard has really shocked me because the information that we hear in the media is very different from what we heard at the conference. And this really touched me as someone that's a human on this planet. And the subject of unity is very close to me. In my life, I am involved in these kind of questions and involved in issues with refugees and the question of unity and the fact that only by uniting can we solve the global problems of this planet. And I'm sorry, I am moving, I'm at work. I do hydroponics and I really like the topic of the last speaker spoke of that the larger part of all income and also in agronomy it's just part of conglomerates, and they don't follow all these rules that are necessary. And this was also talked about at the conference. And here the question arises that we do need to talk about it and we need to unite. And also to give opportunity to smaller organizations and little people to solve these issues more globally. And I think then that this question we can save more our nature, and everything depends on the person and how they take care of it. And the big organizations and big corporations, they are really finances. And I'm very thankful that these topics were raised. And thank you for the conference. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comment, for your feedback. It's also very important to talk about this event. And the question goes to our another guest. Can you please share why it's so important to reach such topics that were raised at the conference, and not to be silent and speak up? Mr. Flores, can you please share about it?
I want to say hello to everyone in this meeting. Definitely, those topics are so interesting in everyday life. We are not inventing nothing. The indigenous people of all over the world they are saying every time all the consequences and what have the life right now in this moment. The natural life is not respected, it's not valued, and attacked by different points of a border of power, economical especially, and the political power too. So we was advocated for this original people, for the collective memories, to create a world where and try to doing something about the right now world that everything is important and the money it's the most important stuff and not the administration about the society. If we can say in 4 decades ago, we consolidate as a right in the world. Right now, it's a commodity. So it's everything. It's a commodity as education, medicine, and all of this drives to all the society that the individualism it's the most important stuff right now. So everyone it's always think about himself, and no one makes a convocatory to where there's no institution to represent the right of the collectivities. So we have a society that the only thing important thing is the force of the individual. So this is make to us very selfish, and this selfish came to us in the way that the only solution it's in the where every person can achieve by itself himself. So we have to start to research an alternatives. So probably we have to start with the diagnosis. So what is happening right now in this society? So really in the consumerism, I don't believe, because all of this was directed by the elite for many reasons. So today, a lot of people, unfortunately, not consume because don't have the money to go in the consumerist way. So to make a difference, and a lot of layers of this society don't have money for consume, even for take the basic stuff. So you know, and even they cannot buy another stuff. And another way, the injustice of social injustice and so on. All of this is something like save your soul whatever you can. So we have to, or the thing that we must do is to make a research for strategies to switch, because we're staying gambling with the situation of right now. We're never going to have a feasible life for everyone here. So, and even don't going to last for the next generation. We have the huge responsibility to build an alternatives, and those alternatives not going to come easy or faster, because exists very strong powers that they don't want it. They don't want it. That is happening right now, because we are probably 10 or 8 political and economical power that they have the control of the society, and to keep the people, you know, in a lie. So, but if we think about the collectivities in the fields and so on, so we have different places that we can see that in every time we can see that everything is possible if we work together in the small towns. And I think that this is very amazing. So right now it is the time of the truth, and we have to join, align to say that, and not use it as a simple. It must be a track. We have to build a track for everyone here. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Felipe, and definitely everything is possible if we are united, if we are together. And right now I have another question for you, Felipe. We know that you are expert in migration, and this topic was raised among the others during the conference. The question to you is, Felipe, why do you think such a problem as migration still exists in the 21st century? And why do people have to migrate to leave their homes they like, they love? Why do they have to leave their native countries? And why some people have more than they really need, or more than somebody can even wish, and why the others have almost nothing and do not have what they really need for the living?
Yes. Is it possible, starting from the point that you are doing, I think that we can say that exists like a religiosity, something like this, a cult to the money, believing that the money is solution of the life, that everything drives to us to make a decomposition as a society. And another idolatries that we have there driving the people behavior, it's the cult of to have. Think about the life meaning. The meaning of life is to have. If we don't have stuff, we are not happy. The cult of individualism, because we're starting to think that we are the center of life, the center of everything. Of all of this, some like religious requires that must exist something like a spirituality of life, of nature, of everyone wealth. And the thing that we have to do, the goal of this, it's not only in terms of political and economic stuff, it must to consider the spirituality that we have right now, and it must be, and it might stay in every places. So if we achieve that everyone in this planet, in these actual circumstances, build alternatives to show to be very good everyone else, probably going to exist more people that are going to join in this way, because we don't show, and transformations. We're going to be the same speech that everyone have in the ways of that right now they have in the media. So because the people perceive a lot of stuff, but only it's a speech, because it's the people that they really want are alternatives. So probably we're called to make this transformation for everyone.
Yes, thanks. Thank you for your answer. It's exactly true that about these alternative ways, not many people are talking right now. I mean, like these official ones and the media, they're silent. They're silent about the current situation that we have in the climate. And we have shown on the conference climate crisis that is happening right now. For example, how many cataclysms were increased from the period of the previous conference. It was on the 24th of July, and the current one, which was on the 4th of December. And we see how many cataclysms are happening. And this actually gives us argument, and I would like to ask this question to Mrs. Marichuk. Can you please share the technology that you are working on, that you are also discussing these vertical farms? They will be very, very required in the near future. Because we already now see this huge migration of people from one country to another, and it will just increase in the time where cataclysm will gain the power. But we don't see that these technologies are not introduced overall. Why is it so? Why is it happening? So can you please share your understandings about this topic, please?
Да, спасибо большое за вопрос.
Yes, thank you very much for the question.
Я вижу из своего опыта то, что
As I see it from my experience, why this is happening, it's because up to today,
агломерации огромные, которые занимаются сельским
Many countries have conglomerates that take care of agriculture, and this is a lot less expensive, or not really faster, but it's less expensive because such vertical farms, the hydroponic ones, they require quite large capital investment and resources and energy resources. I wouldn't say that they're not being implemented at all. Actually, in the last 5 years, they have been added in Japan, America, Israel. The Arab Emirates are very serious about this, but mostly, like for example, in Ukraine, this topic is just now starting to be talked about because it's very expensive. And for large conglomerates in agricultural conglomerates, it's not profitable for them because in vertical farms the time of growing the product is reduced, and so you need less of labor force. So this technology development and the technological processes development, like everything, it's just not very interesting. Not many people want to implement it because it's still cheaper to hire someone and just sow the land and in a short period of time get the product without much of capital investment. And it has worked, it's working, and it will continue working, but it's working, it's moving in that direction. And for example, one of the people in our team, we want every city to have such a farm because the pandemic has actually shown how much we actually depend on each other. And a lot of facilities have stopped, and there's been less of export to countries, between countries. And those cities that have the farms, they've been able to use those people, the people that live in those cities, to work, and it's been really helpful. But the large enterprises, it's not very interesting for them. But it's moving, the progress is happening, and we are involved in this progress. And like I would say, in Ukraine, we already opened 4 farms. They're not very large, maybe 400 square meters, but they're there and they're starting to work. And this makes me happy. Thank you.
May I ask additional question, Ms. Marichuk, again about the technology. But this technology, it is known, yeah. So and it's not too complicated. But for some reason, we know about this technology, and we know that there are so many people worldwide who need this technology to be implemented in their area. But for some reason, we still have so many dry areas in the world, and we have people suffering. They do not have what to eat, and a lot of them, they die every day just because they don't have anything to eat. So we have technology, we have understanding that it needs to be implemented, but for some reason we don't do this. What's the reason for that, in your view?
Опять же повторюсь, это
this is an expensive venture today, and not everyone, and most people just don't want to invest money in it. especially in those countries where there are fewer, there's less money, if we're going to be honest about it. And just now, nobody is going to do it, and nobody is going to want to do it. It probably will have to be a collective decision that this needs to be done, and that we need to help these people to take care of the people with such a necessary product. Unfortunately, right now, it's all just has to do with financial. As long as there's profit, it's not going to happen. Such a thing as just for helping people is not going to happen. But I think that by doing these kind of conferences and having these kind of educational events, it will show that it is necessary and it will start moving. But I think it just all has to do with the financial side of the matter. But that's just my vision of this.
Yeah, it's a pity that currently most people, they value money more than human life, and that's why we think about finance every time when we need to help somebody in reality. But as you mentioned, thanks to the conferences, thanks to millions of people united worldwide in the Creative Society project, the situation is being changed step by step, every day, every hour. So our next question is to Dr. Neka. Dr. Neka, can you hear me well now?
I can hear you.
Oh, great. You dedicated your life to education, yeah, and you touched this question already earlier, but you told that quality and affordable education can change everything, yeah, but actually education is one of the core things for the healthy society. And on one side, there are still so many people worldwide who do not have access to high quality education. But on the other side, they say that education becomes more and more affordable every day, and that the quality of education is better and better every day. And still, when we have so many educated people in our world right now, we have problems which cannot be accepted in the world of people who believe they are educated. You know, they are people. We have modern slavery, we have sex slavery, we have other questions which just cannot fit in your mind. What the problem is with all this? So many educated people, but so many problems.
Yeah, that's a difficult question, but I'll try to answer it. I think that there's no human values in education, and you know the previous speakers spoke about money and the domination of money, and there isn't really human values in education, because the education narrative is being created, has been crafted by the rich to make more money, and they have identified education as a way to make money. So, I mean, can you imagine having a president like Donald Trump? I mean, is he an educated man? Now, there are other examples in the world where people have no respect for humanity, where people engage in wars, make decisions about increasing violence, making decisions about undermining the leadership of other countries. Let me give you a very practical example. In South Africa, we identified this virus and we made it known to the world. But then all these countries in the world banned us from traveling outside South Africa because we found this virus. We've detected this virus and we made it naked to the world. So that tells you that, you know, there aren't many people who are really educated. And so the decisions that they take is politically astute, is about making more money, is about, and the aspect of humanity doesn't surface. We need a new education system in the world that's based on love for humanity. That's it. Love for humanity. And universal human values should underpin education, not dollars and rubles and rands and cents and what have you. It should be, education should be universally about love for humanity. And I don't think you can teach anybody any better lesson than love for humanity.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for your understanding and for this lesson that should be taught for humanity. And we actually also saw in the conference that all these problems lies in our current format of society. We have such a conditions. So we, like every human, just came to this earth, and there were some rules that were predefined by people who lived before us. So they agreed to live in such a full format of society. We can call it consumer format, but actually where people consume goods and services, but also the format consumes people's lives, time and attention. And it's very important question. So how we can change this situation? I mean, what should we do as ordinary people? And it's my next question to you, Dr. Nager. Can you please share maybe your understandings how we can share this information as much as possible? So how we can be united before these cataclysms will gain more and more the forces. So which solution do we have?
That's a very important question. And I think the answer lies right here, where you create these forums and where you have these conversations. And as you said earlier, the world is changing every day. And I am very convinced that the world will change. But we need to have conversations like this, the one we're having now, and more conversations, and we need to write about it. And we need to change the narrative in the world from one of greed and oppression and violence and theft to one of human values, where humanity is respected, where everything that we learn is about the importance of our fellow human beings. Now, if you look at the scriptures, and if you look at the Bible, and if you look at the Gita, and if you look at every religious text, it talks about the love for humanity. But people go to church on Sundays, and on Mondays, they exploit people, enslave people, cheat people, rob them of their land, destroy the world through climate violations. And, you know, we have to practice one universal truth, and that is love for humanity. And we have to have these conversations, we have to write about it. Writing about it is very important. We have to produce an alternative narrative to the one that has been dominant over the last several decades. The dominant narrative in the world sits in large parts of Europe and sits in the United States of America. That narrative needs to be changed. The people live like robots, where they are unable to think for themselves and they are unable to see the enslavement of fellow human beings. And we have to challenge that dominant narrative every single day through conversations like this one and other conversations, as well as writing. Writing textbooks and books for children that's based on love and universal love is very important.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your recipe for better future. We definitely should follow this advice, and we will see results very, very soon. Question to you, Felipe, please. Could you explain one thing? There is some misunderstanding, I believe, in this world, because more and more people every day, they understand that we as humanity and we as individuals, we should not wait for anybody, for any organization, any individual, any country, etc., to change the world, to change the way we live. More and more people understand that only we as individuals and only we as individuals united can change the world. But still, there are a lot of people, I would say too many people, who do not even believe that the change for better is possible. They think that that's impossible to change the world. Somebody can do this, not we. What would you suggest to such people? How can we change this way of thinking in order to unite as soon as possible?
Well, so in this way, probably we're trying to do several years to change the scenarios of security, collaborative scenarios in the towns, in the inner towns, ancient towns. A lot of people give a life in the side of religiously. A lot of they was killed. Slavery. So the thing that we are talking right now, so despite the dates, the data, numbers that shows all the problem, we are not saying nothing new even. So the society in general, so in the country, occidental country of Colombia was following in the stage that they really believe that the egoism is the salvation, is the main, so everyone must think about their own stuff. So even we going to levels that in the inner family, they don't have no feelings each other. Even in the families, everyone have to going out, going up by himself or herself. So right now the family, it's not the place that they join the people, the human people, the humanity, because the family right now it's almost destroyed. So where are you going to come with this? We're touching the very deep in the bottom. So because we have to understand that we are dependent of everyone else. So when we are part of the problem, we're part of the solution too. So the people must to visualize how we're living right now in the middle of this. All facilities, stuff to doing stuff easier. How in the middle of all of this, full of tools, we're living, with a worse quality as before. And how was the quality of life before and how it is right now? So what's the meaning of this? So I think the point of this is we are living circumstances where no respect for life. So the most important thing is the human life. All this in the game, all this in the play. It's even the life of the world. So we have the responsibility that to improve the destruction of life, to increase the everything destruction. So right now we're living in several slaveries that right now tied us to this egoism that it's very difficult to take the solution. So, but the point is, try to don't fight against people, so to motivate the people to have a better life, to everyone can live in an amazing world, to make a contribution. And the collective must to put the wellness for everyone, not in the another side that the people used to think that the people have to put the, all of this to everyone else.
Thank you. Thank you for your answer. It's really depends only on us. Only on those people who already know this information, know the truth. And so I have also a question to Mrs. Marichuk. Can you please also tell me the answer for the following question? So why would you recommend to your friends and to your relative, your colleagues to watch the conference that was on December 4th? Global Crisis, Time for the Truth.
Спасибо. Ну, на самом деле я
рекомендовала I actually have recommended from the very beginning because I understood that it's quite serious and it's a very responsible thing. And I also told my children and my acquaintances, we talked about this a lot and we discussed it, such questions. But,
только поговорить.
Unfortunately, most people just like to talk, and not a lot of people want to take action. But since the people rely on the information that comes to them from TV, from internet, it's a lot of negative information. And a lot of brutality, and there should be more of such positive information, and we should be talking more often about how we can change these things to move people to take action. And such conferences, such meetings, they make people start thinking and to change, to look, to search more and to start thinking more, because actually people are used to not thinking. They get the information and then they're just happy with that. They don't analyze it, they don't think about it, they just whatever information they've gotten, they just talk about that. And by such actions as this conference, it makes people start analyzing and thinking, how can you change this world? Because without changing yourself, nothing can change in this life. By changing ourselves, with our example, we will change people around us. So, of course, I have recommended from the beginning, and I will continue to recommend this conference and these discussions, and also to stimulate people to participate more in such discussions. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And fortunately, it becomes easier every day to change the world to better. In order to act, you need to just find out information about the Creative Society project, to understand it, to accept the concept of the project, and just to share this information with other people. So, as you see, no complicated action is required in order to change the world. Everything is very, very simple. And And also I'd like to say that the latest conference lasted for 12 hours and so many topics were raised at the conference that we cannot discuss everything during one single discussion. So our discussions will continue, and we ask you, dear viewers, please send your video questions to the email info@creativesociety.com. And also you can send your questions in Instagram, Twitter, on Creative Society English. And we will insert your video questions into the next international discussions, and we will discuss these topics together with our distinguished guests.
Thank you so much. I would like also to support what you just said, because really right now it's very easy to be a hero who saved the world. We have saw it in many movies that heroes, they have like supernatural power, but right now you can find everything in your pocket. Your smartphone and your personal understanding is the most important tools that you have in order to share the truth, in order to understand in what kind of situation are we right now, what is happening on our planet. So we suggest to everyone to watch this conference and go deeper in their understandings. Make a feedback right now, right away when you just like watch some fragment and share it with others, because it's really vital in our current situation to share this information as broad as possible. And let's stop this spiral of being silent. Let's just speak out and speak honestly and truthfully about our situation and about chance that we all, as a whole humanity, can build creative society. And right now we are in the informational stage. It's the first and most difficult stage, but we already doing a lot in order to contribute, in order to build the creative society. And I would like to say thank you to all of those who already participated in preparation of this conference, who are preparing this roundtable. There are a lot of people who are invisible. They make translations, they prepare the guests, they do a lot of work. And it's really happy to see like such people who are already doing a lot. So let's be part of our team. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, dear guests, for joining us today. It was a pleasure to talk to you. It is your input into building creative society, and as you see, it's quite easy. We just gathered, we discussed important questions, we got some understandings, and this is the way we share information around the world. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Un abrazo, que estén bien todas y
Thank
todos.
you. And you remember it's time for the truth, and now it's time for the song which brings the truth.
Thank you. Let's hear it.
Every time, every day, we're looking up above, waiting for an answer to bring the world some light. We need to come together to make the future bright. It is time for truth. Nothing to fear for anymore. We can open any door. It is time for truth. Tell the world what we're about. Stand up and shout it out. It's time for truth. Don't we know what to do to bring the world prosperity? Only way that is true is through creative society. Let's make the change together. We're stronger if we're one. Creating peace forever. Together we are strong. It is time for truth. Nothing to fear for anymore. We can just open any door. It is time for truth. Tell the whole world what we're about. Stand up and shout it out. It's time for
real love from above, 'cause we're all one family. We can unite the world and reconcile humanity. Let's end the wars for profit, address the pressing topics, and get connected everywhere like fiber optic. Read the signs of the times, it ain't hard to see. It's time for peace and love, it's time for unity. It's time to put aside the drama, do it for the youth. It's time to stand together, for real, it's time for truth.
It is time for truth. Nothing to fear for anymore. We can just open any door. It is time for truth. Tell the whole world what we're about. Stand up and shout it out. It's time.